Albert's Eggplant. Hi, this is Albert Grande from PizzaTherapy.com, legendsofpizza.com. Today, I want to talk to you about eggplant. You know, I was having a conversation with my mom the other day, and I realized before I ever made pizza, I made eggplant. And eggplant is a wonderful dish, and it's my particular recipe that I'm going to give you. I've used it over the years. I've kind of perfected it. It is my signature dish. As I was growing up in our Italian household, eggplant would be on the table at almost every meal. And it just looked weird to me. I never tried it. I didn't want to eat it, so I just left it there. One time when I was a teenager, maybe on a dare, I put a little bit on my plate, and I fell in love with it. I said, wow, what have you been missing? And I've been a big eggplant fan ever since. I love eating eggplant. The cool thing about eggplant is that a little bit goes a long ways. You can use one eggplant or two, and you can feed a whole lot of people. Some of my earlier eggplant adventures started out by making eggplant for friends at a dinner. And then I decided to have a few eggplant parties, and for a number of years I did. Whenever I'd have a party, I'd make a huge, large dish of eggplant, and it would feed many, many people, and people were really happy with it. So I want to give you some of that knowledge that I have so that you'll be able to make eggplant for you, your family, and your friends. And like pizza, make an eggplant might even attract a few dates if you're single. Anyway, let's get right to it. So the first thing you want to do when you buy eggplant, and the eggplant I'm talking about are the long oval, large oval type of eggplant. You want to make sure that there aren't any soft areas around it. You want to make sure that it's fairly firm, and you'll be able to feel it and touch it yourself and figure out that it feels pretty good and it's going to feel very, very good. Now, also, I'll caution you, if you leave your eggplant in the fridge, you don't get to it, it will start to deteriorate. And it'll keep in the fridge for a week to two without any problem. But beyond that, you're going to notice some blemishes and some rough areas. You can still cook with that. Just cut those rotten areas out and it'll work fine. Okay, so make sure that you get a good, nice, firm eggplant, and that's what you're going to start with. And once you get your eggplant home, you're going to want to wash it. Now, one of the first things that you want to do before you even start with your eggplant is to get a sauce going. I'm going to give you a real quick sauce that I use. Real simple, very easy. I suggest you get your sauce going prior to doing anything else and get that cooking. Also, you want to make sure that your sauce cooks long enough to impart some great flavor in it. Now, if you have a canned sauce or a sauce that you like, that's fine. You can use that as a basis. I remember in the Italian household that I did, we called it gravy sauce, whatever. Anyway, here's my real quick spaghetti sauce / eggplant Parmesan sauce / gravy recipe. Real simple. You want to start with a 16-ounce can of tomato sauce. If you want a thicker sauce, get a small can of tomato paste. You want to start with some olive oil in the bottom of your pot, and I like to slice up about 3 or 4 cloves of garlic. Put that in there. I let the garlic simmer, and I don't want to burn the garlic. That's real important. So that's going to be the basis. You put olive oil, you put some sliced garlic in, then you're going to add your can of tomato sauce. You want a little thicker, use tomato paste. And for spices, I generally just use basil. I'll take a tablespoon or 2 of basil, put that in there, do it to taste. Parsley, if I have some, I'll throw that in. Some people like oregano in their sauce. I don't really care for it that much, but you certainly could use that. Salt and pepper to taste. And generally, if I have a good wine around, I'll put a half cup of wine in, or a cup of wine, and add that to the sauce. And it really makes a great big difference in the sauce. I think it just tastes fantastic. You want to cook your sauce as long as you possibly can. An hour, hour and a half. If you're in a hurry, you could get away with a half hour. But just cook it up. You want to let it simmer. You don't want to burn it or anything. You want to make sure that it's just simmering nicely and cooking in all those flavors. Now, you have a little bit of meat that you want to put in there. That's fine. Some veal or some meatballs or any kind of meat will be great. A little piece of pork, that will flavor your sauce up as well. You want to cook that ahead of time before you put that in. Throw the juices right into the sauce. That'll be great. And I also will add a little bit of olive oil as I'm cooking the sauce to taste, to make sure that the sauce tastes just the way I like it. You don't need a lot of salt. A little bit of pepper is good. A little bit of salt is fine. Don't go heavy-handed on the spices. I had a friend once that was making spaghetti sauce using my recipe, and what he had done is he had put way too much salt in, and he was ready to throw it out. And I said, hold on, hang on. So what we did, and we saved the sauce, was we just diluted the sauce with a couple more cans of tomato sauce. It worked out great. The other big tip I'm going to give you, make as much sauce as you possibly can. What I've been doing lately is I've been using a number 10 can. Those are those big restaurant supply cans. I buy them for just a couple of bucks. It saves a lot of money. So I'll cook up a huge batch of sauce whenever I make sauce. And it's going to be good for eggplant. It'll be good for spaghetti sauce. It'll be good for your basic red sauce. The cool thing about it is, once you cook up a large amount of sauce like that, you can freeze the rest. And so you can put it in little individual plastic containers or even Ziploc bags. And next time you need to make spaghetti sauce, or you want to make meatballs, or you want to make eggplant parmesan, you'll have it. So think about that. Think about doubling or even tripling your sauce. And as I said, I use that number 10 can. It gives me a lot of sauce, and I'm able to have 2 or 3 meals out of it by prepping it once. Okay? So that's the sauce, the Albert's spaghetti sauce. Now that you've got your eggplant home, and you're sitting with your eggplant on the counter, a couple of things I want to tell you. There are a few different things that you can do right from the beginning when you prepare your eggplant. Okay, so you've got your eggplant. Now, generally, I'm going to cut off the top and cut off a little bit of the bottom. And what I will do when I make eggplant is peel it. I will peel the skin. Again, not necessary. I've had eggplant with the skin on. It's okay. It cooks up fine. And so if you prefer to have your eggplant with the skin on, by all means do that. You can certainly leave your eggplant skin on and cook it. That way it will be fine. A lot of people say there are a lot of vitamins in the skin, and you lose the vitamins when you remove the skin. The way I do eggplant is I do cut the skin off. So what I do is, once I peel it and wash it, put it on the counter, and I'll slice it thin, as thin as possible. And then I will set it aside. Again, I'm going to give you a couple of variations of what you can do. When you cook anything, the most important thing is that you prep everything ahead of time, and that will save you a lot of time later on. And because eggplant is kind of like an assembly line, there are a couple of things you need to do to it. It's best that you prepare everything ahead of time and get that done. Now what you're going to need is, if you have 1 eggplant or 2 eggplants, you're going to peel them, you're going to slice them, and then put them aside. And on your counter, you're going to get a dish, and you're going to put breadcrumbs in the dish, and you'll get another flat dish and put 2 eggs in it. You're going to scramble those eggs. Now, again, talking to my mom, who is a penultimate cook, she's been using panko instead of breadcrumbs sometimes, or she'll do a mixture of half breadcrumbs, half panko, and that's a great way to add a little texture and additional flavor to your eggplant, and I encourage you to do that. Now, again, the variation is, my mom will dredge it in flour, put it in the egg wash, and then put it in the breadcrumbs or panko mixture. I don't use flour, never have. My method is just to take the sliced eggplant, dip it in the egg wash, and then put it in the breadcrumbs. In a frying pan, you want to add some olive oil and heat it up to about medium. And then as you get your eggplants through the assembly line, you're going to fry up the eggplant in the oil. And you want your pan to be about medium hot. You don't want it super hot. You don't want to burn it, but you want the eggplants to fry up. And you want to let them get a little bit brown. You don't want to overcook them. Again, another tip that I do to save time is I'll use 2 frying pans, just because I can do the assembly line of dredging them in the egg wash and breadcrumbs much quicker, and that gets them prepared a lot better. So that's the frying part of the eggplant. Now, here's the thing, that if you are concerned about using oil, you don't want to use olive oil or any oil, you don't want to fry your eggplant, you can just broil the eggplant instead of frying them. Now, it's not going to come out as good, but you will save a lot of the olive oil will not be into the eggplant. But that's something you can do. If you're watching your calories and you want to watch your diet, just broil the eggplants, run it through the assembly line, egg wash, breadcrumbs, and then broil them until they're a little bit brown, flip them over, and wait until they're cooked. So that's the end of this step of how to cook eggplant. And the next step will be putting together your eggplant parmesan. Okay, now that you've cooked up your eggplant, put them on a paper towel and drain them a little bit. As they come out of the frying pan, I'll have a large pile of eggplant. Or if you broiled them, you're not going to have to worry too much about the oil. However, here's the next step. I'll take my sauce and I'll start putting the sauce on the bottom, put a layer of the fried eggplant or broiled eggplant on it, put a little bit more sauce, and I'm going to add my cheese. I've been using fresh mozzarella for my eggplant parmesan, and it comes out fantastic. If you can find it, buffalo mozzarella would be great, or the fresh whole milk mozzarella. It adds a whole nother flavor dimension to your eggplant. It just really kicks it right up. You don't have the whole milk, that's fine. Just use the sliced mozzarella, or I've even used blocks of mozzarella that I've used a shredder for. That's great. And you want to cover that eggplant with that mozzarella, and I also add Parmesan cheese. And I really like adding that kind of cheese. Depending on your taste, you could use other kinds of cheeses that you have around. Pecorino would be great, or to tell you the truth, to even take your eggplant in a whole nother dimension, you could use gorgonzola. My wife loves gorgonzola, so that's another way to kind of kick it into a whole different eggplant direction. Once I've got my layer of eggplant, my sauce, my cheese, then I'll put on another layer of eggplant, and I'll just repeat the process. Put more sauce, more cheese, more eggplant. And generally, I'll have 3 layers. If it's a very deep dish, I might have 4. And you're ready to go. And you're going to put sauce on. Now, understand, as you cook it, your eggplant is going to absorb some of that sauce. And depending on how you like it, you may want to put a little bit extra sauce on there. When I finish my last layer, I finish with sauce, and I'll put a little bit of cheese on there. Fresh mozzarella is great, or slices of mozzarella are great. You want to crumble them up and put them all over there. And finish with a little bit of Parmesan. And you're ready to go to the very final step. You've got your eggplant in front of you. It's all made. You're ready to put it in the oven. Okay, for my last step, you got your eggplant. It's in the casserole dish. Got it layered. You're ready to go. You're going to put it in an oven. Cook it about 325 for about a half hour. You're really not cooking anything. You're basically just melting the cheese and letting those eggplant flavors evolve. And the eggplant is going to absorb that sauce and the taste of all those wonderful, wonderful spices that you have in there. And you're going to have a great eggplant parmesan. As I said, you're really not cooking it that much. It just needs to cook for a little bit. Half hour, 45 minutes. If it's going to be much longer than that, you want to lower the oven temperature and let it cook slowly. Now, once you've got your eggplant, obviously the next thing is to serve it. Eggplant is just a wonderful dish. It complements so many different kinds of foods. It goes with spaghetti sauce or meat. It can be used as a main meal, which I've done many, many times, or just even as a side dish. Now, once you're done with your eggplant, you're not really done, because even now, There are more things you can do. If you have any left over, it'll refrigerate well for a day or two. I don't like to leave it much longer than that. But how about this? Eggplant sandwiches. You can make a phenomenal eggplant sub or sandwich with eggplant. It's a great middle of those two breads. It's just fantastic. And what I do is I'll make an eggplant sub, put the eggplant in, put a little sauce, a little bit more cheese, toast it, or just serve it that way. It is just incredible. Also, your cooked eggplant will make a phenomenal topping for pizza. You're going to make your pizza just the same way you generally do. You're going to take your pizza dough out, always put a little olive oil on, garlic in there, a little bit of red sauce, and I cut up the eggplant into small chunks and chunk it right on the pizza. It comes out simply amazing. I always top it with a little bit of extra cheese. People are amazed. The eggplant almost tastes like meat. The other day, we were having eggplant. My daughter said, "Dad, what kind of meat is this?" Well, I had to tell you, no, you're not eating meat. It's totally eggplant. So I hope you have a lot of fun with making eggplant. I certainly had a lot of fun helping you put it together. I'd love to hear about your eggplant adventures, so please get back to me and let me know what happens. Or if you have any other additional ways to use eggplant, I love to hear them. Thank you so much for being supportive of me, Albert Grande, and PizzaTherapy.com, legendsofpizza.com, and I'll catch you next time. Okay, here's a little postscript. Are we ever really done? No, we're not done. There's more. I know I'm going to get a question. Albert, can you freeze the eggplant? And the answer is absolutely yes. You can freeze the eggplant. Once you've cooked it, I've done it, kept the eggplant for a month, 5 weeks without any problem whatsoever. It's a great way to cook eggplant, make a little bit extra, freeze some. You're going to save some time on your next meal. I think eggplant just is a vegetable that just doesn't get any respect. So respect your eggplant, please. This is Albert Grande saying, I hope you enjoy your eggplant adventures. Eggplants on earth, goodwill to all. Until next time, stay well. Bye-bye.